Dooby doo boo boo boo. Ba doo ba ba doo boo boo. Ba da ba doo ba ba doo boo boom boom. Ba doo ba ba doo boom boom. Ba doo boom. Da ba doo boo boo boo. Ooh ba ba da ba ba. Ba da ba bum. Doodle 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 doo boom. Vitamin water. Doo ba ba doo boom boom boom. Hello YouTube. I'm actually slightly early today, so I'll just be sitting here humming to myself and drinking this luminous purple goop. We'll be on in 2 minutes with my against the clock Kesh Jig fingerstyle challenge. Hello out there in the ether. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nye from Folk Friend and Finale Guitar in Sheffield. What I'm going to be doing today is attempting to write an arrangement for fingerstyle in standard tuning, or potentially not in standard tuning. It doesn't really matter too much, and it might vary depending how it goes on. I haven't really prepared anything for this. Deliberately, I've not worked out anything in advance so that you can see the process from start to finish. I am actually running a competition on the channel at the moment to celebrate the launch of my latest book, which is called Irish Tunes for Fingerstyle Guitar. Hey Ed, thank you for tuning in. In fact, I'll tell you all about that in a minute because it's not officially time to start yet, so I'll just hang about for a minute and take my keys out of my pocket because they're jabbing me right in the leg. Ouch. No, thank you. How are things over there? You all right? Cool. Right, we're good to go. Yeah, so what I was saying was I'm doing a competition to celebrate the latest book that I've recently released, which is called Irish Tunes for Fingerstyle Guitar. And basically I've written fingerstyle arrangements of 10 tunes that I like in various different tunings. I had a lot of fun writing these because some of them... Oof, wow. Well, you must be fried to a crisp. I wish it was like that here. It's tipping it down with rain in the UK today. But yeah, some of them have got some pretty cool jazzy harmonies in them, and some of them are nice and simple for beginners. And I tried to sort of start out easy and then progressively get more complicated with the addition of bar chords and more unusual harmonies and stuff like that. So to celebrate that, I'm running a competition where I'm basically going to try and encourage people to have a go at writing their own fingerstyle arrangements, then post a little clip on YouTube and leave me a comment on one of my videos, just with a link to your clip of your fingerstyle arrangement. And then 1 month from yesterday, I will pick a winner. I'll announce it on the Folk Friend channel for that week, and you will win a copy of all 3 of the books which I've released thus far. Backing Guitar Techniques for Traditional Celtic Music, my first book. The more recent one, Irish Tunes for Fingerstyle Guitar, and the Folk Friend Practice Diary. And as well as that, you will receive an amazing mode wheel from Finale Guitar, which shows you how to work out all the notes in any mode and all the chords that go with those notes. And as well as that, you will also get 3 free... That's so hard to say. 3 free guitar lessons via Skype, Zoom or WhatsApp with me as well, to go through whatever you want, be it folk, jazz, blues, or just have a little jam. Or we can talk about birds for half an hour if you like, whatever you want. The time is yours. So yeah, if you'd like to take part in the competition, I'd love to see your entry. All you need to do is write a little fingerstyle arrangement of whatever your chosen Irish or Scottish or Welsh or Breton or whatever tune is, and then stick it on YouTube and leave a comment on one of my videos, and then I'll add it to the list of entries. So yeah, today I'm going to be running through a tune called the Kesh Jig. The reason I picked that one is because a guy called Olivier, who tunes into the stream quite often, requested it a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, oh, I'll just do that one for today's video. That'll be a bit of fun. So what I'm going to try and do is completely from scratch write a fingerstyle arrangement from it in half an hour, so you can kind of see how the process works, and then maybe you can have a go at it yourself and enter the competition. So the first thing you want to do once you've picked a tune is to work out what mode it's in. The Kesh Jig is in G Ionian, or G major, that's the same thing. Mode wheel is extremely helpful, that's what I like to hear. Thank you, Keith, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yeah, the mode wheel is helpful, and actually let's use it now while we're here. So the tune's going to be in G Ionian. And the first thing that I like to do is work out what notes I need, and then work out a convenient place where I can play that on the guitar. What you really want is to... Sorry, it's a fly. What you really want is to find a place on the guitar where you can play your notes from the mode that you're in a position that's convenient for your fingers, and also one which contains as many open strings on the main important notes as possible. Because when you're playing fingerstyle, the less you can be fretting, the easier your life will be. So for G Ionian, starting here, our notes are going to be G, A, B, C, D, E, and then F sharp, and then G again. And the G Ionian mode shape, the standard one that you learn as the first mode shape box, if you like, is this one, G major, starting here. However, that's not really a very good option for fingerstyle arranging, because I had to fret all of those, there wasn't a single open string involved. So the one I'm going to plump for is, starting from my G here, I'm going to go G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. That's very inconvenient, but there we are. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's the best option for the key of G major, because around a G chord here, if I play a G chord like that or something, I can fret these tune notes at the top and get my whole G major scale, which I'm going to make the melody out of, going from the G string up here, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So I'm going to aim to keep the tune up here at the top frequency range of the guitar and just play it using that nice easy octave that I've got there. If it goes higher than that, then we may run into problems. Usually with Celtic tunes, you find that the first part of the tune is lower and the B part is higher. So in the B part of this tune we may run into issues, but we'll see how we get on. So the next thing that I'm going to do once I've worked out an easy position to play my scale near the bottom of the neck is I'm going to work out how to play the tune in that shape. So how does the Kesh Jig go again? Oh, my head's gone black. Hang on a minute. I've conveniently got it just here so I can play it. Just bear with me a second. Oh yeah, it's that one. Right, so it's going to start on G, and it's going to go... something like that. So that's really good, because that's very convenient to play just on the top three strings, and there's lots of open strings, and I only really ever had to hold down one finger at a time, and there was a bit where I could hold down one finger and flatten it to the next string to get there. That kind of bit. So that's very convenient for a fingerstyle arrangement. So we're off to a good start there. The next thing I'm going to think about is I'm going to think about all the chords that are likely to accompany this tune, and I'm going to find a few different ways that I could play each of those chords before I start. Because really you want your root notes at the bottom of your arrangement, you want some kind of notes from the chord to fill out the middle of the arrangement, and you want the melody to sit at the top. So there may be some times where I've got a melody note which is not convenient to play with one chord shape, and it's good to have a few other options for the same chord, which will enable me to play different melody notes. So I've actually conveniently written the main chords in this song on the wall behind me before we started. So the main chords are G, C and D, chords 1, 4 and 5 in the key of G major. And of course you can see all the chords on the amazing mode wheel, because if you just go around, we've got G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and that's it really, because we're not going to use F sharp diminished. So those are our 6 chord options. And here is a very simple version of the chords which I quite like, so I've written that down as my kind of base framework for what the underlying harmonic content of the arrangement's going to be. So the A part's going to go G, G, A minor, C, C, D, D. That's what I'm aiming for. So G chords, there's lots of G chords. I could use my standard G chord like this. If I want to free up some fingers for fingerstyle purposes, it may be better to just hold down the root note, and then I can add the scale using my spare fingers. So something like that. It might be easier with the third finger instead of the middle finger, but we'll see how we get on. Another way for G, maybe I might want to make it a bit more jazzy using a G major 7. So I could work out how to get the scale with that. Doable, but a bit more tricky. So that could potentially be useful. G major bar chord, of course, that is useful if you leave out some of the fingers, so you can go big stretch. That might be useful for some of them. So there's a few options for chord 1. For chord 4, same deal. I might just want to hold down the root note and then use my spare fingers to play the scale notes. I may want to add the third in. Something like that. Another option would be a C bar chord is more or less useless because it requires all your fingers, so I'm probably never going to use that for a fingerstyle arrangement. But I may use C major 7, which is like this, because with that one I can take my fingers off in turn to get tune notes. So something like that. So C major at 7 is a really useful option. A jazzy one that I really like actually is this, which is, that's the C major 9 chord, and it's quite convenient for getting tune notes with, so it's nice if you want a bit more kind of richness to your 4 chord. And the lovely C6-9, of course, nice option as well. 6-9 chord is just like that. Very common for bossa nova, but also really convenient for fingerstyle because it only really needs well, you can hold down those two fingers and then you can go something like that. Anyway, I'm gonna stop playing you different versions of C chords now. What else have we got? Chord 5 is D. For D, we will be wanting either a major chord or a dominant chord. It's chord 5, so it gets D7 if you want to complicate it. But for just plain D, D is a great chord for fingerstyle because you can do all of a G major scale. If I start at the top and come down, just add your little finger, there's your top G. D7. So I'm probably just going to use D or D7, I would have thought, for D. Another good option would be potentially a D7 bar chord up here, because that leaves a spare finger and some manoeuvrability for the little finger. So there's lots of options for that as well. So once you've got some chords in your head that you could potentially use, the next thing you want to do is try and work out how you can get the root notes and the tune together. So I'm going to do it a bar at a time. I'm going to remind myself how the tune goes because I'm tremendously forgetful. Oh yeah. So there's my G at the bottom. I'm going to have a G root note. That's going to be the first bar. So the first bar of tune goes... oh, that's 2 bars in fact. So that's the first bar, that's easy. Just holding down my root note with my middle finger, hammering on the A note in the tune. I've got the best number of open strings there, which is possible, which is lots. Then I'm going to go up to my A minor chord. So there's an A minor chord, and the tune notes go... So that's easy to do with an A minor chord on. You just get your A minor chord and take that finger off it. What do we want next? We want a C chord for the third bar, and the tune goes... So I'm going to hold down those 2 fingers, which is like a C chord, except I've missed off one finger and I've fingered it wrong deliberately because my 2 fingers that are free now can do the tune notes at the top. Like that. And then I'm going to go to my D chord for the last bar, and the tune note is an E, so I need to leave off that finger so that the E is there at the top. So that's pretty good for a starting point. Oh. Ah, better with those fingers. Nice. Ah, there we are, look, that's a better fingering. So if I go... start out like that, then I go to A minor with a finger missing, I add my little finger on there so I don't have to move my hand, then I add that finger on there. Now I've got a whole nice C chord here. That's tricky actually. Oh, that's easier, we'll go with that. There we go, so that's the A part, that was easy. Few things on that, just at the end there. Particularly for jigs, you'll find hammer-ons are your friends, and for reels of course as well. What you want to do is pluck the dominant beats, the ones where your feet tap, and then hammer on some of the others. So if you're playing a reel, it's quite hard to pluck all those little quavers individually with your fingers, and it can be a lot easier and actually a lot more nicely flowing to pluck the beat that your foot taps on and then hammer on the preceding quaver. So that kind of thing, and the same with pull-offs. And if you're doing a jig, I tend to find that the way you get the rhythm to sound the nicest, the rhythm being da-da-diddly, da-da-diddly, so you've always got crotchet quaver as the start of a bar of a jig. 1, 2 is silent, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing. I like to do that with my plucking hand when I'm plucking fingerstyle jigs. So if you were writing an arrangement, you might want to do something like, even if it's a bar with 6 quavers in it, you might want to pluck the first one, hammer onto the second one, and pluck the third, because that'll make the rhythm sound like da-da-dun, da-da-dun. So that's the da-da-dun, da-da-da, da-da-diddly, da-da-diddly, if you see what I mean, because your plucking hand is doing da-da-diddly, even if there are 6 notes in a bar. So that might sound something like... just trying to find a bar that's got 6 quavers. Oh, there's one. So for that bar I'm only plucking quavers 1 and 3 of that one. And then I pluck 4, 5 and 6. And the same for that bar. So that's one thing to think about. Anyway, so let's just have a little run back over what I've got for the A part so far. Fingering's still evolving there, but something like that would be nice. The next thing I want to do is, I don't like having any empty quavers, so I want to make my any point where there's an empty quaver in the tune, I want to fill in something at the lower end to make that that space not empty, if you see what I mean. So I might want to have a think about some sort of little repeating figure at the bottom end of each chord that my plucking hand could be doing while the tune is going on up above. There's a few ways you can go about this. You could put a root note every half a bar. That kind of fills out the space nicely. You could do a sort of bung gun dung dung gung dung dung gung dung 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 kind of thing to fill out the space. So I'm just going to have a play about with some options and see which is actually playable. Well, I don't like... I could make the bass line go... that would be going from... Generally with the bass line, you tend to use notes from within the chord, so 1, 3 or 5, and roots and fifths are the ones that tend to go together the most commonly in bass lines. So my bass line for the G chord could go G, D... That's not very practical in this particular key because the D is 2 strings up and it's quite high. Doesn't really sound very good. Something like that. So another option would be to play the third instead. like that. Quite like that. Now we're on our A minor chord. We could put the fifth in the bass, which would be the bottom E string, but that's too low, and low notes are very kind of dominant in a way, so I don't really want to stick that in there. Too much. So what I'm going to do instead, where I've got my A minor chord followed up with a C chord, I'm going to run up the scale to join those two together. So I'm going to go like that. So that's the A leading into a B, and that's going to take us into C for the next part, and then D. And for the D chord, I'm going to use the root, which is D, and then the fifth, which is the A string. And the reason I'm going to do that is A, because roots and fifths always go nicely together as bass lines, and B, because that's now going down a step back to my root note of G to start at the beginning of the section again. So all together, that's going to be something like. That's nicer. I'm going to put, this is what I was saying before about I really don't like empty quavers. So where we've got an empty quaver there, I'm going to fill in that long space with two D notes. And I can do that conveniently if I change the right hand fingering so that I've got two fingers there to do that. You see a lot of fingerstyle players doing something which I must confess I really can't do, which is where they do this really cool little triplet thing, and I must learn how to do it. I think my nails might be too long, to be honest, but that would be nice there if you knew how to do it, which I don't. God knows. Very cool though. Hats off to people that do that. Got a fingering issue there. Lovely, that's great, I like that. Just the only problem is I always end up putting my little finger on there to follow the A chord, because that's kind of intuitive, and I need to not do that and do it with the third finger in order to get that C chord right. But apart from that, I think it's good. There I go again. Right, so for the A minor chord, it's best to deliberately do it with those two fingers, because then when I play the B on the A string, I can do that with my index finger, leaving my third finger free to fret the third fret, and then switch those over and I'm in the position for the C chord. Yeah, much easier. Lovely. Right, let's have a look at the B part then. So the chords for the B part are slightly different. My underlying chord structure is just based on how I like to play them. There are lots of other options, of course. You could switch the C to the A minor like we did in the first part. That E minor could be a C, or it could be an E minor. Either is fine. Could be an A minor as well if you wanted. So there's lots of different options you could have picked. I just chose this as being a simple chord progression that sounds quite nice. So the B part, just to recap, goes like that. So for this part, I'm going to try and have a bass note under every half a bar, because I like to sort of try and speed up the kind of harmonic elements a little bit for the B part. Because the B part's gone higher, it always feels like there's more energy to it. So I kind of feel like there should be more energy to the rest of the arrangement as well for that part. So let's see, we've got our G root note for the first couple of notes. And what I'm going to do, because that's the first note of a new part, I'm going to fill out the chord a little bit. I'm going to pluck the G string, because we've got a B string in the tune. So I'm going to pluck the G string with it to make a nice chord to start with. And I'm going to put the third from my chord at the bottom under the second half of the bar. Next I want a C chord, so I'm going to go to my country C, because that's quite a convenient option for having these spare fingers at the top to fret the tune with. And I'm going to leave that D note in it because I think it adds a really nice little jazzy touch to it. Like that. So we've got... Oh. Something like that. I'll go back to the B note, the third of the G chord at the end there, just to make the bass line go. When I'm walking, I strut my stuff, etc. So, what's that song called? Blister in the Sun. But anyway, it's not Blister in the Sun, it's the Kesh Jig. So we've got... next bit is going to go... you'll notice there I like to hammer on that bit because of the da-da-diddly hammer-ons that I mentioned earlier. Even though there's a perfectly valid B string there, I find it hard to pick that because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quavers all plucked by the same finger in a row. Violent Femmes, that's the one. What a tune that is. I love that song. But yeah, you've got 4 quavers in a row on the same finger. It's very difficult to pluck. So I'm going to go using my little finger for a hammer on instead, because personally I think it sounds nicer and it's easier to play. We had the third before, so let's have it again. And then we need D chord. Oh, actually, I said I was going to put an E minor under that, didn't I? So let's do it with the open E string at the bottom instead, which is actually going to be easier to play. Ooh, that's nice, isn't it? Right, okay, that's the best way, isn't it? So what I'm doing here, I'm playing the open E string as the root note for my E minor chord for this bar. I'm doing my little hammer on there. Then once I've hammered on, I can move that index finger to do the fifth of the E minor chord and play the rest of the tune with the other fingers at the top. So, like that. Then we're on the D chord for the last little bit. And I'm going to hook my thumb round and play F sharp at the bottom, because that leads really nicely into G, which is the next chord. The seventh note is called the leading tone in classical music. When you hear the major seventh, it wants to go back into the first, and that leads you really nice into the next chord. So that's my D with a thumb, which I've talked about in all my music theory videos. And that leads us back to the G at the beginning. So not bad. The first time I did the B part there, it went, so it had a long note at the bottom, and I actually am going to leave that one empty, just for a bit of punctuation, I suppose, at the start of the B part. However, the second time when the B part repeats, I'm going to fill it in for a change, I suppose, kind of like an accretion. You know, I'm putting in more notes now to add more energy the second time through the B part. So I'm just going to add in a little A note to fill in that hole. So I really want a low bass note there, but I'm not in drop D, so I don't have one, which is a shame. But now here we have a problem, because it goes all the way up here to the 7th fret, and obviously it's very hard to play a D chord all the way down here, because I'm not Alan Holdsworth or Paganini. So yes, I'm not sure what I can do about this one. So C is going to be fine like that. D is going to be okay. We're going to have to find a G chord up here somewhere in order to do this, and I have the very one. Actually, I'm going to use this, which is a G chord up here. What that is basically a C major chord played deliberately with the wrong fingers. Like if I play C major down here, and then I switch all the fingers so that my index finger is spare, and then I slide that chord all the way up here, and I use my index finger to bar it, then it's G. So, and that's a nice G chord to end on there. I'll stick with that. Nice. Lovely. There we go. I think that's pretty much, you know, a passable little arrangement. I could brush it up a bit more and me being me, I would then go away and mess with it till it had loads of jazz chords in it. But as a starting point, I think that's quite a nice little version. I'm going to try and play through from the start and see if I can actually play it. It is quite hard to hit that end chord from all the way down here, but ooh, D9. It's a nice little chord 5. Ugh, I need a new guitar, but apologies for the buzzing. This guitar needs refretting. My friendly neighbourhood luthier, Theo, is sadly stuck in Newark, which is too far away for him to fix my guitar, so stuck with buzzy frets at the moment. Just one little thing about this last chord. If I leave, when I end up here, this is a lot of fingers to get right all at once. And what I'm actually doing is I'm landing on this chord with the bar first, because that's got the most important note under it, which is the tune note always. And then the root note is the second most important, so I'm getting my little finger down. And then the next tune note. And what actually happens is I end up plucking the whole chord to accentuate it, and it comes out like that. And what that chord is it's got the second in it instead of the third of the chord. So G, A, B, that's the third, and I'm playing this one, which is A, which is the second. So that's actually a sus2 chord because there's no third in it and there's a second instead. And what happens then is that resolves back to the nice G chord to finish on when I eventually get my slow fingers on there in time. So that kind of sounds quite nice. I might keep that in. Like that. There we go. I think we've got it. So yeah, it's not really mega difficult working out these kinds of arrangements. To be fair, G major is a very easy key to work in. I'll tell you about some other keys that are easy to work in if you are thinking of having a go at the competition. Honestly, give it a go, it's great fun. E minor is easy to work in because in E minor, I mean, you've got your root note is E, so at the bottom, you've got 3 open strings which are in your root chord at the top, so that's very convenient. The other chords in E minor, E, A minor and B minor. Well, A, your next root note, is just there, and B minor you can do a kind of lazy B minor 7 for B minor, which leaves you some spare fingers. So E minor is a very convenient key. D major is less convenient unless you're playing drop D or dadgad, in which case easy. A minor can be a good one. In fact, I'll just run you through a little bit of the arrangement of the gravel walks that I did for the book, because that's in A minor. Just to think how it goes. Etc. So most of that is based around the fairly easy shapes, which are A minor and D. Occasionally I've got a little mini bar up here. That's a really nice A minor 7 chord, which enables you to play lots of things. You can get a whole A minor scale over 2.5 octaves on top of that one little mini bar, and you've still got your A root note and your E root note. Yeah, it is a bit Russian. If it was Russian, it'd be more Phrygian, like. But yeah, so A minor is quite convenient. Yeah. Another thing you can think about when you're trying to write these kinds of arrangements is partial capoing. Which I did use in one arrangement that's in the book. That's particularly good in keys like A minor and E minor. A minor, for example, that little mini bar I was just talking about, if you're not very good at holding down bar chords but you'd like a sort of nice jazzy chord like that and some higher notes in there, just get an old school mechanical capo and just put it across the top 4 strings. Clock it on there, and now you've got your fingers free to play the notes. You've still got your 2 nice low root notes at the bottom with the A and the E strings, and that's going to be your 2 most important root notes in the key of A minor. So that can make your life a lot easier as well. So yeah. What I'm going to be doing at the end of this video, I'm going to get on the computer and write this little arrangement that I've just come up with out as a free tab. I'll be putting it on my blog along with a link to this video. I'll put that for free linked on the Folk Friend Facebook page. Have a look in the description for this video down below. You can follow the Folk Friend Facebook and then you'll see it on your Facebook feed when I get around to putting that up on there in about an hour and a half or so. So yeah, check that out. Please do enter the competition. I'd love to see your entries. Yeah, all you need to do is post a video of you playing whatever you've come up with on YouTube and leave it in the comments on one of the videos. And in 1 month's time, I'm going to pick a winner and announce it in my Thursday upload slot, same as normal. Anybody got any questions about anything? Oh, also, if anyone's got any good ideas for topics we can do next, I'd love to hear about them as well. So let me know anything you want to know about. I think we'll sign off then. Just quickly before we finish up, I'll just run you again through what the steps were that I just ran through. So step 1 is work out what key your tune is in. Step 2 is write yourself a simple chord grid for the tune with some chords that you like but which aren't too complicated to play, and ideally ones that you can play near the bottom of the neck. Work out a few different shapes for each one. Oh, thank you, Brian. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in as well. Yeah, work out a few shapes for each one. Then you need to work out the mode shape where you can play the scale in a convenient position near the bottom of the neck. Once you've got that, you can start thinking about playing the tune within that shape, trying as much as you can to keep near the bottom of the neck. Think about using a capo if that's proving difficult as well, or cheating and using a different tuning. The next thing then is to find some root notes for each bar to match the chords that you're aiming for. The best root notes to use are the first and the fifth. The third is also an option. And you may find that if you've got another chord afterwards which is nearby in the alphabet, you can link from one chord to the next. So like for example, when I went from my A minor to my C chord, I put in a B root note there because that makes a nice little ladder going A, B, C, like that. What else? After you've got root notes and the tune together, then try and fill in any empty quavers and think about whether there's some sort of regular picking pattern that you could get your hand to be doing. In reels, I often tend to find I like to try and occupy my thumb with the root notes and these two fingers with some kind of regular figure that kind of glues the whole thing together while these two are doing the tune at the top. You can't always stick to it rigidly, but the closer you can get your picking to being the same bar on bar, the more easy it's going to be for your right hand to get on with that while your left hand is being controlled by your brain, and that's kind of the more complicated bit. So yeah, that's about it really. Beyond that, I mean, just play about with interesting chord voicings, mess about and see what you can come up with. What have we got? Yvonne's going to practice what we've done today. Nice one. Great. Thank you, Yvonne. Cheers for tuning in. And yeah, make a little video and stick it up if you come up with anything. I'd love to see see what you can invent. Sean Morris says, I enjoyed when you demoed Cahill's style. Can you demo other players? Yeah, I do plan to. I'm going to do... I've got another video lined up about Dennis Cahill, looking at some other interesting things that he does. And I am going to do a whole series where I look at maybe 4 or 5 different Celtic guitarists. The reason I've been putting them off was just because I was waiting for the new book to be done. And I've got a top secret Folky project in the pipeline as well, involving a new website and some very exciting stuff like an ear trainer and some play-alongs with different chord diagrams that you can choose between. All sorts of good stuff. So it's kind of been on the back burner a little bit because the videos in which I talk about people's styles just take me hours to edit. So I am going to do some very soon. It's on the to-do list. Yeah. I'll probably have a look at people like Tim Eadie. I find really interesting as a guitarist, and I'll have a look at some of the classics as well, like John Doyle, people like that. So yeah, that is coming up. How do I... Oh, you don't have to. You just put it on in the normal way. In the corner of your tuner screen, it may have a couple of different modes. It might say like C, V, G, maybe some others. Usually they have options for chromatic, guitar, potentially violin, maybe some other instruments. So if you want to tune to Dadgad, you need it to be on the chromatic mode, which generally is a little C in the bottom corner of the screen. And if it's got some sort of mode button, or maybe by just tapping the power button, it'll switch between those. And then clip it on in the normal way. If you play the bottom E string and it says E, just tune it down. After a little while, it'll say it's flatter and flatter, then it'll say E flat. Then tune it down a bit more until it says D. When it says D, tune it in until it's in tune. And then and the same deal for the B string, just tune it down and tune it down after a little while it'll say A sharp, and then it'll say A. And the same with the top E string, you'll want to tune that down to D. But yeah, just make sure it's not on the guitar mode, because then it'll only tell you notes that are relevant to guitars in standard tuning, aka E, A, D, G, B, E, and it will just tell you that those notes are out of tune when you try and tune it to dadgad, which is really confusing. No worries. Yeah, no, it's coming on. Cool, right, that's it for this week. I'm going to sign off, go and eat some cauliflower cheese. Thank you very much for watching. Go and like the Facebook page, and you'll get the free tab for this in about probably about an hour and a half when I've written it down. And if anyone has any good ideas for future Folky Friday episodes, stick them in the comments and I will endeavour to do them another time. Nice one. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I'll see you again next week, same time.